Welcome to the Unitaksha in a course of Introduction to the SQL. So today we are going to look for the topic called as joins, which is a very important topic whenever it comes to learning any database management system. So basically, why do we require join? Sometimes it happens that we are having information which is located into multiple tables, and we simply want that information to be clubbed for a certain purpose. Then in that case, we can go for a join. Let me just show you some basic example of that. Suppose I have one table which is having employee ID as an information. There exists one more table which is having the column having the information of name and salary. And I'm having the information of ID 1, 2, 3, say 5 and 7. I deliberately took those IDs. I'll let you know the reason behind it shortly. So these are suppose say the names, and salary I'm inserting as 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 and 50,000. I have one more table which is nothing but a bonus table which consists of again employee ID as one field and the another field is bonus information. Here I have the information of ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4 and ID6, and their bonus information suppose say as 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 and 5,000. Now, my payroll department wants a data in such a way that it should have employee ID, it should have the information about name, it should have the information about salary, and it should have the information about bonus. If I simply club these two data sets together, what will happen? It will be ID 1A as a name, salary 10,000, bonus 1,000. For second, it will become 2B 22. For third, it will become, it should be 1, 2, 3, 3C 33. Then it will become 5D 4, 7E 50 and 5. This is basically how the information will be combined if you simply copy this bonus column at the end of this salary column. But it is somewhat giving you the wrong answer, because if you club this 5D40 with this 4, then you are saying that employee ID, which is 5, having the name D and with the salary 40,000, you are clubbing it with the bonus information of ID4, which is absolutely wrong. That means we cannot club this data before matching their IDs. So whenever you want to club the data, at least you have to check whether their IDs are matching or not. Then and then only you're confident enough that, okay, my ID1's information of salary and bonus is correctly mapped, or ID2's information of name, salary and bonus is correctly mapped, and so on. Otherwise, the wrong person's salary will be attached with the wrong person's bonus, and then it will create entire chaos in your data set. And that's the reason why there exists something called as a concept of join, where it is mandatory that there should be at least one common column in between the tables that you are studying for. If there do not exist any common column, and still if you want to club, the data set, then obviously whatever you are clubbing will go wrong, because you are blindly, simply appending the columns at the end of the first data set, which is absolutely wrong. You have to check which information to append by looking at the ID column that is situated, or that is a common column in between both the tables of your study. There are various types in which you can perform join, out of which the 4 very common type that we are going to discuss right now are inner join, left join, right join, and outer join. Inner join exactly acts as a, what we can call it as an intersection operation. What do we mean by intersection? Intersection is picking up the things which are common in between the multiple sets that we are studying. So if I want to implement the intersection operation on employee ID field, then I have to catch up only those IDs which are common in both the tables. So which are the IDs that are common in both the tables? So ID 1, 2 and 3. Their name information is ABC. The salary information is 10, 20 and 30. And their bonus information is 1, 2 and 3. This is basically how you can perform the inner join, wherein you will first check which are the common IDs in between my first table and second table, and only those IDs information will be clubbed. That's why this is called as the intersection operation, because in the intersection operation of a set, we check for the common things and we give as a result set of only those common things. Then there comes something which is called as a left join. What is left join? So in a left join, we write entire left table as it is. So let me just first write down the column names. So in the answer, I expect employee ID, name, salary, and bonus. Here, In left join, the concept says that you have to write entire left table as it is. So this is my left table, the table that you write first, and this is my right table. The table that you write second is called as generally the right table, and the one which we notify first is called as the left table. So the entire left table should be written first. So as per that rule, let us just write this is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. Here it is 7. And in the column of name, we'll add their values, that is A, B, then the next one is C, then this D, then this E. Salary we have given as 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. And now we'll add their bonus information of IDs which are actually matching. So ID1 presents in my right table with the bonus of 1,000. ID2 exists with the bonus of 2,000. ID3 exists with the bonus of 3,000. I do not have the information related to ID5 in my right table, so it will be simply null. I do not have the information of ID7 in my right table, so it is simply going to be null. This is basically how your left join would work. Now, if you have understood left join, I think understanding right join will be even more simpler for you, because in the right join, you'll be simply having the entire right table as it is and only the matching entries from the left table. So in right table, I have the IDs 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, sorry. And you have the bonus information as 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. You have the information of name for ID1, which is A with the salary 10,000. You have the information of ID2 with the name of B and salary of 20,000. You have the information of IDC with the salary of 30,000. You don't have the information of ID6 for the name and salary, so that is going to be null. You don't have the information of ID6 with respect to name and salary, so this is going to be null. So this is how your right join would work. The matching entries from the left will be joined and the entire right table will be as it is. And then comes something called as the outer join, which is a combination of left join and right join, which is also called as a union operation whenever it comes to set. So union indicates that we want entire information to be there written in a result set. So we are having this ID, name, salary, and bonus. ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Name we have for ID as A, then B, then C. We don't have name for 4, we have it for D, we have it for 7, for E. Salary again information we do have for ID1, that is 10,000, ID2 20,000, ID3 30,000, ID5 40,000, and ID7 as 50,000. We have bonus information for ID1 as 1,000, for ID2 as 2,000, for ID3 as 3,000, for ID4 as 4,000, and for ID6 as 5,000. Now in between, wherever you don't have information, they are basically going to be null for us. So here we do not have information for bonus, so that is going to be null. Here we do not have information for name, salary, so that's going to be null. Here again, we don't have the information for bonus, so that is going to be null. This is basically how the outer join works. So I just hope you got an idea about how to implement the join in the data sets. So now we'll quickly take one example in order to demonstrate how to join the tables. For that reason, let us just acquire few tables. So I'm having a table in one folder. One is called as telecom weekly data. Let me just open that table. Let's click on next, next, next. It will prepare for the import, and row by row it is going to import the values into our Excel. That will slightly take up some time, not much, but just 40-50 seconds. That depends on your machine speed as well. If your machine speed is good, if there are less number of softwares and everything installed in your machine, the operations will be slightly faster. But if you have a lot of operations simultaneously open, if your machine speed is slightly lower, then sometimes data importing, specifically if you have a large amount of data to be import, then the importing might take some time. So we'll just wait for the time. So this is how we have loaded one file. We need to load one more file for joining the data. So let me just load another file as well. We'll browse for the file. We will select the file, which is a demographic file consisting of a demographic information. I'll simply change its name to customer demo. That's it. Let's click on next, next, and finish. Again, as I said, it will take slightly time for importing. Click on next and finish. So the data is imported. So if you just want to know that what's the information, so this is basically the customer telecom demographic information. And if you are interested to know what's the weekly data is, so this is a weekly data. Let me just explain this data sets very quickly to you. So the first data set, that is demographic data set, it consists of the information related to the ID, age, gender, pin code, and active status of a person. We know that in a telecommunication industry, to be very specific, it's very difficult to establish your customer base and retain that customer base, because people do churn. Whenever they find out any exciting offer by any other rival company, they directly go to that service provider and purchase that service provider, because of some services called as mobile network portability, where your number doesn't change even if you are changing the service provider. So due to all these facilities, people are not reluctant enough to not to change the service provider. They freely change it. And because of that, the telecom industries are always in this dilemma that whether this customer is going to be a non-churner or a valuable loyal customer for us or not. So they are simply having some kind of analysis just in order to know that which type of customers are more likely to be the churners in the future and so on. So that's basically what the data is, where you're having the customer information, the age, gender, pin code, and active status information. Similarly, you're having the weekly data where every customer's 24 weeks information is available, like you can see week 1, week 2, week 3, and so on, where the number of calls, the total number of calls in week 1, total number of calls in week 2, and their specific amount, that is how much is the amount that is charged for those calls in the first week, second week, and so on. So this is given. So if I want to merge these two tables, first I have to find out some aggregated information out of my table, and then I'm going to merge these two tables together. So for that reason, let us first get some aggregated information. So we can say that select summation of what we want to say, will show customer ID first. That is cust ID. Will show the summation of calls. So that will be sum of calls. Will show the summation of minutes. Will show the summation of amount. And we are going to take this information from the data set, that is telecom weekly data set, and we are going to group this information by cust ID. Let me just show you how the output would look like. So this is basically the output wherein we are having customer ID, summation of calls, summation of minutes, and summation of amount. Now we have to combine this information with the demographic information. So what we will do is, first we'll export this data. So I'm clicking on this option. I'll export this data. I'll call this data as aggregated data. I'll simply replace the original file of aggregated data. So and now what I will do is I will quickly load my aggregated data file in my current data set. So here I go for loading the aggregated data. We clicked on next. Yeah, it will slightly take some time in order to load the data. We are clicking on next and finish. So now we have the aggregated data that we are going to combine with the data set, that is nothing but the customer demographic data set. So let us just try to run the query. That is nothing but a query that will generate us a kind of merge for the aggregated data with the demographic data set. Now, whenever we want to merge the columns, if we are merging the two tables, there should be at least one common column among them. But the requirement is the common column's name should not be exactly the same. Because if you are having the exact same common column name, and if you are going to join these two tables, then there will be a duplication of a column. And that's why we are altering this aggregated data table wherein we are having the column called as the customer ID to the name called as a CID. So that you can, if you just check, select star from aggregated data now. And if I just limit the number of observations to 10, so you'll find out instead of customer ID, now the common column name is CID. And then we are saying that create the table. We are going to give the name to that table as a result as select aggregated data dot star. That means from aggregated data, select all the columns. Telecom cust demo dot star. That means from telecom customer demographic data that we have taken, select all the columns from the aggregated data. And then you are going to inner join it with the telecom customer data in such a way that the aggregated data dot CID, that is nothing but the common column, it's equal to telecom customer data dot cust ID. So it is going to check which CID is matching with the cust ID of the telecom cust demo. Whenever this matching exists or whenever this matching is identified, then and then only the information will be, added with each other. That means your demographic information will be added with the transaction information. If the match is not found, then we are not going to add the information or we are not going to append that information. That simple. Now, if you can see this generating the error saying that the table already exists because I have implemented this before few times. So I'll write simply create table result 2. Now the table is created. If I simply write select star from result 2, so you'll find out now it consists of the information of sum of calls, sum of minutes, sum of amount for all those 24 weeks information along with the age, gender, pin code and active status of a person. So this is basically how we have implemented inner join. If you want to implement left join or right join or full join, you can simply change this table name. And here, instead of inner join, I can simply say left join. Here I'll say result 3. If you run these two commands, then you will find out that it is performing the join, and this time the join has been performed using the left join. Similarly, you can go for right join and full join. So I just request you to try the right join and full join by yourself because you just have to change this name. Apart from that, none of the other changes required. So I just hope today's session help you in order to understand or to grasp the concept related to what is join. Again, I am telling that join is a very, very and very important concept whenever it comes to studying any database management system. So in the next session, we'll come up with more such exciting topic related to the SQL. Thank you for patiently watching to this video. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.